Hello everyone and welcome to the video from the Demon Overlord. Today I'll be going over miniatures that I've recently repurposed or have just planned to use from other games for Dungeons & Dragons. So starting off first, I'm going to start with World of Warcraft. So these are miniatures. If you've ever seen my older video from World of Warcraft haul, definitely check that out. I'm going to be showing off some miniatures here on my two little turntables inside my light box I recently grabbed, so hopefully this will make things look a lot better. And so first we're going to go with these small little blade that I'm going to be using as like a blade gnomes. Something along those lines. So I can get the camera to focus. And they'll be pretty cool little additions there. We also have a smaller gnome. A bit more like a, I guess you'd call him a gnome warrior or maybe a gnome rogue. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to call this mostly a gnome rogue. Gnome, maybe halfling possibly, so he'll go there with the other ones. And then next up we have what I'm going to call a gnome caster. Or just like a little gnome female wizard. Now with these four miniatures, I literally just simply cut them off and set them on the base. They didn't need a lot of work. I liked their designs they had going already. Maybe I might touch up one of the axe or one of the blade gnomes or axe gnomes there a little bit with like a different color axe, so he's a little different color. But that might be about it. So moving on here, we also have an orc. I don't remember what his name was, but he's really cool looking. I love his detail he's got going there with these also really heavy armor. Like this is definitely a heavy armor orc. Definitely be probably like a higher rank. Sorry, I just got distracted by my own turntables. I just love those things. They work so well. Next up here, for World of Warcraft wise, we're going to go with, I don't remember this guy's name either, but we have this very large class skeletal, like kind of undead caster. Now the head skull there in his hand is actually from Citadel. It's one of their little Citadel skulls I just simply glued into his hand. Really simplistic with a nice little flocking job. I gave him a grass basing, as this guy could be, attacking a castle, and they would have grass. He looks really nice. And he's definitely tabletop ready now. I just love those turntables. They were just so useful now that I got them out and decided to use them for this. I don't know that. I'm getting distracted by my own stuff. Let's see. I think that might be all the Warcraft I was working on. Yes, that looks like all the Warcraft-wise. So if you'll excuse me 1 second, we'll put them all down here in the background just for now. And while I do this, guys, if any of you want to figure out where I get these miniatures from, if you want to find out yourself, ask in the comments down below or any other questions you might have during videos or any ideas you might want me to try doing videos on. I'm definitely willing to listen, and I take suggestions. I take them into consideration pretty well. Also, guys, do check out the Dice Nutties podcast where I am DMing Season 2. Okay, so moving along, we're going to go into Death Kingdom. Or Kingdom of Death, it's one of two, I can't 100% remember, it's been a while since I've looked them up. But here we actually have like a man with a sword. Actually, let me just quickly bring him up here for a second to show more detail. As you can see, he's pretty simplistic vagabond style. Surprisingly, the bases were actually the hardest part to paint. They just didn't want to hold paint that well. You had to prime them and get them cleaned really good. Next up, we got us like a dark elf woman here with a little busty figure. Nice thickness. Love the little two daggers. So she'd be definitely a good rogue. Actually, I'll put her over here since she's an elf. There. Split up a little bit. Humans and non-human side just because. Over here we have, I think, what's supposed to be an Amazoness warrior. And I know you're thinking usually that, blue color would be like a white, like a lion mane sort of thing or something, or fur. I decided to give it blue just to add some flavor to the character so she had a little more interesting going on there. More interest. And it's got some nice guitars going on there. I believe that's the proper name for those guitars. Next up, we have one that I had to repurpose her hand as it kind of got destroyed. Which I will say about these things, you gotta be careful as these Death Kingdoms are very fragile. I just gave her like a little fan attachment there just for fun. We have the, I think she was called the Dragon Sacrifice or something. Very skimpy outfit, but like very nice robement I gave her. With some nice golden crown adornments. And she's basically supposed to be like a higher up, like a noble. And then we have the one that was purely Halloween based, obviously, but it's still cool. We have the demon girl with her little jack-o'-lantern, her nice little spear there. You know, gilded tips there, a little bit. I'd probably use her as a succubus for flavor-wise. Maybe like she could be an avatar of the queen of the succubuses, one of the queens. So, I mean, there's 5 of them. At some point, I plan to maybe get some more Death Kingdoms. I just gotta admit, they are hard to get your hands on, and they can be expensive if you're not careful. I will say that now. So these ones are going to be probably a little pricey for themselves as well as shipping. So just be careful, guys. Okay, so now we're going to move along to the next group here. I think I let them sit on their turntables long enough. Sorry, I just love these turntables. I really do love how they function. I don't know why I kept it in the box for so long. Anyway, next up we're going to go with Warhammer, because it's Warhammer. Why not? So I think I've already done one of my videos in the past, had these 2 sort of hammer-wielding Eternals on them, as they are like the Storm Eternals or something like that. As you can see there, those are the 2 Thunder Hammer Brothers, I guess I'd call them. Next up, though, we have some other warriors. We have these nice, very well-detailed minis. I did not paint them. I would have done something like this if I had the time, but lately I'm finding a hard time to paint. But as you can see, they still do sit well together with the blue. Obviously, they could use some more lightning boltage. Maybe I might try to touch them up to match. But as you can see here, we got a couple more of these bad boys. Let me see if I can get them all on there. Gotta make 4 fit on one turntable, which is going to be slightly challenging. But not as much as I thought. Okay. So those are all like 7 of my Age of Sigmar Storm Eternals. Which they all look really nice. Honestly, I will be using these for D&D as just very large paladins mostly. Maybe a warrior here with the big sword, or maybe a barbarian class, even though he's armored. Maybe that's like his soldier class. Or just a heavy-duty fighter with like Grand Weapon Master, so he's skilled with 2-handed weapons, things along that line. And as you can see, they do have nicely flocked bases. I don't think I had to touch up any of their bases. I might have maybe had to... Ooh, I did not notice he was a... Okay, sorry about that. But I think the only ones I had to touch up were the Hammer Brothers, a little more extra grass on them, but that's about it. So anyway, let's get these guys off here. They've had their moment on the turntables in the sun. Put them down here in the front just because I feel like it. Sorry if I'm taking a little while putting them off. I'm just trying to be careful. So next up, we're going to go with the Mage Craft. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go with the first ones here, which, if I can find the other horseman. Oh, well. It's fine. So we have these very lovely Elven Knights, or Elven Horsemen, Knight Horsemen. There we go, Elven Knight Horsemen. As you can see, they look pretty good. They got those nice spears there. They're ready, charged up, ready to gore some enemies and block with their shields or joust, whatever they're going to be doing. The horses themselves are very simple, but they are definitely large scale, and they're ready to go. They were kind of easy to take out the base. They kind of snapped off pretty quick. So if you happen to find some of these Mage Knights, don't worry, they're not that hard to break off. They're just a little... for these horsemen and stuff. There are others, though, I will talk about that are a little more effort and a little more preparation work. There we are. I will say this, too. I did sand their feet just so they sit a little more flush. Next up here, if I can find the other. There we go. We have these 2 dwarven mounted or automatic horse riders, I guess we'll call them. As well as their 2 friends here that are both kind of like savage, I guess you'd call them like post-apocalyptic gunmen for their mechanical horse riding brothers. As one's blue, one's yellow. The other 2, there's really just a little color difference in their cloak, or their back pieces onto their armor for the dwarves. I mean, but it's really cool. I love the blunderbuss style, like, axes going on there. I love how the brothers have these 2 sort of almost flintlock-looking pistols, so they both can work for both futuristic as well as, you know, ancient times, because maybe it's like, you know, they're old flintlock guns and blunderbusses with just axes stuck to the bottom, because dwarven flavor, you know, they're going to have their axes wherever they can get them. Let's put these 2 down here. And we'll do the same with the dwarves and put them over here. So that, just trying to be careful. So next up here, we're going to go with 2 more. Well, the other bandit I have is a bandit man with a large lance, and I guess I'm going to call it a sai, or just a tri-tip knife, one of the 2. And then the next up here, we're going to have who I made kind of like a leader. I had to ultricate him. We have the autonomous horse riding orc. So obviously on their big steamy supercharged horses. Him, I actually did a little more work on as he required a little bit more fitting, as he was originally on top of another animal as a mount. But I took him off, took his dwarf off, because I already have 2 other dwarves. I didn't need a third. And I just happened to glue him on there with a little bit of some actual green stuff. Surprisingly worked really well to hold him on. I added a little super glue as extra holdage, and I didn't really change the green stuff as it was kind of seated just perfectly under his bottom. So it kind of looked like a green cushion. So it worked out. I gave him a little painting on the leggings here, the little purple and gold yellow, just to give him a little bit of color flavor. And other than that, though, his paint job was lovely. It looked great, so I just left him the way he was. I mean, why change something that's not broke? You know what I mean? Why do that? And so that's all we got for those 2. And I actually did flock his base, unlike the other horsemen, because I didn't feel like doing theirs. Next up, we have these 2 lovely serpent folk or dragonborns. I'm not really sure what you would use them as. They could be either or. They are both snake riders with these giant snakes. I mean, they could be large constrictor snakes, or you could make them like deadly black viper snakes. I mean, or some type of adders, maybe. I mean, they can't be rattlesnakes. I mean, unless you want to take green stuff and put little rattles on them, I guess. But really cool. I love the aggressive look of those snakes. This is one thing I love about Mage Knight. Some of their animals have just that look that you just don't get anymore. That aggressive, old school look. And they have that vintage look to me that I just love it. I mean, even the lizardmen have that vintage lizardman face with the hair. Or dragonborns, if you want to use them for that too. They can go either way. I love the simple spike clubs with their shields. Their shields are just so nice. And they could definitely work for either or. I just gave them little green flocking just for some flavor, as they're just really, I really do like their models. Next up here is actually the mount from the orc. This is actually what he was riding on. And I'll just put on this turntable right here. And here we have, I guess I'm going to be calling this a drake, maybe of some sort. Maybe I'll call it like a, maybe like an orc drake or something. Something very aggressive, maybe. Like a brute drake, maybe. Where, like, because it has those big, bulky, muscular arms. And really muscular looking legs. Skinny a little bit in the body in the lower half, but still very aggressive looking. Kind of reminds me of like a snake. But then he has that very ogre-like face. Very ogre-ish, you know, old school, snarly face. And that part I enjoy. Let me just do that for a second just to... Like, it looks like the old depictions of a monster from the D&D manual. That's what I really liked. Is I took the orc off, put a little green stuff on the back there, painted it a little brown to match, and flocked his base, put a couple rocks, and bada boom, we have a lovely monster that's going to just definitely be able to tear up a player one-on-one, or maybe give a group a hard time. So that's all I got for this video, guys. As usual, do check out the podcast for the Dice and Dummies. I appreciate it a lot. It helps out our podcast. Like I said, I'm DMing Season 2. I might possibly start putting it on the channel as well here, so if you want to start watching it here, you know, let people know. I mean, as usual, you can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Pinecast, all that stuff, or you can find podcasts. We're there. And anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. Please do like and subscribe down below, and have a great one, and stay safe out there, guys. Bye-bye.